Hi boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and Gorilla fans all over the world. My name's Robbo and this is Gorilla TV. And tonight on Gorilla Talk, we have the absolute pleasure of sitting down with newly appointed Senior President of the GRANGE Footy Club, Darren Lusher. Lush, welcome to Gorilla Talk, mate.
Thanks, Robbo.
Mate, how do I address you? Is it Mr. President, Sir Darren, or just Lush?
We'll start with just Lush, mate.
Just Lush?
Thank you. But
Our viewers can't see this, but we've actually got some Secret Service guys in the corner, and I'm very worried about waving my hands or putting them anywhere. So hopefully this all goes to plan, mate.
thanks, mate.
Now, buddy, first of all, I'll get into the presidency and stuff like that. But first of all, if you can tell us a little bit about your family, mate, and where you grew up. And by the way, too, we've got the Cooper's beers that we're drinking. So the Fred O'Toole, is it?
Floyd O'Toole.
Floyd O'Toole, sorry, Fred O'Toole. There you go. I've already stuffed it up, mate. One of our great platinum probably sponsors of the footy club.
Yep.
Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I guess grew up in Melbourne. Lived my whole life sort of in Melbourne till I was about 30 years old, but grew up around Tullamarine, so not far from the airport. That's northwestern Melbourne, and that's Essendon country. So obviously an Essendon supporter.
I'll get to that in a little bit.
No worries.
So what was a young Lush like, mate? Were you outgoing and confident little lad, or were you more the shy, reserved, quiet type?
I'd say probably somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say I was super outgoing or super introverted, but pretty quiet, I would say initially, and then once I get to know someone or the group, probably came out of my shell a bit more, and I think that's probably moving towards more of an extrovert these days.
Yep.
That's through, I think, through just time and confidence that sort of builds, and you get more comfortable in your surroundings. I'd say pretty quiet. At school, probably sit somewhere in the middle of the class, not the front, not the back, somewhere in the middle.
You weren't necessarily one of the popular kids.
No, I wouldn't say I was super popular. Just pretty quiet, unassuming. Did okay in school, not outstanding. Was okay on the footy field, not outstanding. Pretty sort of average kid, I would say.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's evolving over time.
It's evolving over time. What sports did you play as a kid, mate?
Like most in Melbourne, it was footy, AFL footy in the winter, cricket in the summer, and that sort of happened for many years. But probably at some point dabbled in every sport: baseball, t-ball, basketball, athletics, gymnastics, swimming. Blessed with good enough skill and probably good enough natural talent, but again, nothing great. Just loved being out and about like most kids of our generation.
Yeah. So I imagine, obviously, I'm from Victoria as well. Unlike here, it doesn't matter whether it was raining, hailing. You went to training and you played. There was no games that were washed out or called off. How did you have grass on the field? What was the footy club you played for in your junior days? Yeah,
so started like probably most kids around 7, playing for a club called Strathmore, which is in the Essendon District Football League. My family had a lot of history there. My uncles, grandparents, parents, all involved with the footy club, so it was just a natural progression for us to play there. So started when I was 7. Played a couple of games. I remember in the under 10 A's, and part of that illustrious club or group of first kick in football for a goal. So very proud of that, and got a crunchy for doing so.
Oh, crunchy.
And then I think it would have been the week after I was dropped from not only the A's but to the C's.
You were dropped after your first kick for a goal?
I like to think it's because my dad was coaching that team, but some say, no, I probably didn't put in enough effort on the field. and at training. So hence,
Do you
ended
think
up
they were
in
probably trying to teach you not to get ahead of yourself?
I
Do you
think so.
Maybe you thought, I've got my first goal, first kick, I've got my crunchy,
Yeah.
I'm going places.
Yeah,
and
well,
they just wanted to sort of just hold you back a bit, Lush.
I could only assume so. I was on that trajectory. I thought, especially with that crunchy in hand, but no, turned out that I got a quick reality check and then back to the under 10 Cs, and we went on to play in a grand final and lost that. But yeah, it was obviously great to play in a team with my dad coaching and you know, a few mates. So yeah, played at Strathmore.
What colours were they, mate?
So they are a blue sash with yellow. So probably not. It's not a colour or not a jumper that's in the AFL, which I always thought was pretty cool, because you see a lot of clubs in that competition that had the equivalent of the AFL. So you know, like a Collingwood or a Melbourne or whatever. But we had, as the Gorillas do, our own individual one, which I always thought was really cool.
Yeah. Did you have your own individual song, or was it?
It was a take on the Sydney Swans.
Yeah.
So cheer, cheer, the red and the white. This was the blue and the gold. So yeah, that was a slight take on that. But yeah, I played my whole sort of junior and then early senior career at Strathmore, and yeah, it was really, really happy to. Didn't live in the area, lived, as I said, in Tullamarine, which was, you know, a bit of a drive, but
how far was that, getting to training and game?
So it was, you know, 15, 20 minutes, which you know, at the time I thought was a long way, because we would drive past, you know, 2 or 3 other clubs to get there, but you know, given the history and
you were always going to play for the blue and the gold.
Yeah, always going to play. So yeah, so really enjoyed it. Obviously spent my whole life there, and mum and dad were heavily involved with the club. You know, dad was treasurer, president at some point. Mum was always volunteering and doing something, and I think that's probably, you know, helped, you know, pave the way for me. I've no doubt that's probably why I'm as involved as here as I am, because of you know, seeing it with them growing up.
Absolutely, mate. Who were your heroes growing up, mate? Surely Essendon had some good players back in the early 80s.
Yeah. So certainly Terry Danaher.
Yep.
He's the first one that I can remember.
You have the number 5 on your duffel coat, mate?
Definitely.
Did you have a duffel coat?
No.
They were big back in the day.
They were. I don't think I could pull off the duffel coat, mate. So
not your go.
No, not with my sort of build, which was, I mean, hard to believe I was even leaner than I was back then. So Terry Danaher and Tim Watson, I think, like most of the kids of the 80s, they were out, and then you move into the 90s, and I mean, obviously James Hird was a huge hero, and Gavin Wanganeen. They were probably through the 90s.
The rubber man.
Yeah, that's right. Like just incredible, and both Brownlow medalists, and yeah, just idolised those guys. One other guy, a little forward pocket, Darren Buick.
Yes.
So I remember meeting him at school. He, you know, when players come to your primary school, so he came along, obviously sharing the same first name. I'm sure my mum introduced me and took me over to Darren as, you know, here's another Darren, and so I remember that really well. So they were probably the 3 sort of through that 80s and 90s, and then you know, obviously Matty Lloyd later on, and they're probably the main ones.
The Velvet Sledgehammer.
The Velvet Sledgehammer, yeah. So
jeez, it was a good kick at goal, though.
Great kick at goal. And
did you do that? Did you throw the grass up when you had a shot, mate?
No.
Even indoors, because you did that at Eddie had a fair bit, I think, or whatever it was called.
He did. He had his routine, and I never really played forward. Sort of played more wing, and then as I grew, more of a ruckman. But yeah, I never really got the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
I've probably done that more just for a bit of my own amusement on the Masters field in later years. But yeah, no, never really did that. Was never really a goal kicker myself. But and then I remember in terms of your local heroes. A gentleman that has sadly only recently passed away, Craig Hilly. So I had a number 5 on the back of my
He was from
Strathmore,
okay.
so I had a number 5 on the back, and just the toughest guy I'd seen on a footy field. Really sort of idolised him, because you could go down and you could see him, every week up close. They're probably some of the guys that I really enjoyed watching.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Now, mate, I am having a little bit of a laugh with you, but I've done a bit of research, Lush, and the last time, because I know you're a mad Essendon supporter, the Bombers won a final, there was a bit going on in the world. Right? There was a young up-and-coming singer by the name of Elvis Presley. He just released his big hit song, Jailhouse Rock.
He did, yeah.
And I don't know if you know the Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville. They created the first successful powered aeroplane. And finally, I need to finish this off now.
You do.
There was a young playwright, actor and poet by the name of William Shakespeare. And he was getting tremendous reviews after the open night for Romeo and Juliet. So it's been a bit of a long time between drinks, hasn't it, mate?
It has. And yeah, I'm not sure where you're getting your facts from, but they do sound correct. It has been
a lot of research, mate.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a while. Just when we start to get a bit of hope on the weekend, we obviously got put back in our box by the Western Bulldogs. So, but I think we're on a reset. I think we call it nowadays. We don't call them rebuilds, we call them resets. So I think we're officially on a reset. Yeah.
So Brad Scott will definitely be the coach of Essendon in 2026. Can you say that live?
I can't. I honestly can't. No, who would know?
Now, mate, you're obviously Victoria, Strathmore. What high school did you attend down there? Did you enjoy school? And did you know what you wanted to do once you finished up?
So I went to Essendon Grammar, which is just a private school down in the western suburbs, and fortunately it was right across the road from Windy Hill, which is the original Essendon home ground there. So yeah, that was great. And then there were a couple of campuses, so I ended up moving campuses away, sort of further out west. In terms of school, yeah, did okay. Sort of focused on maths, all the standard stuff. Did okay in school. Thought I wanted to be an accountant, so got a good enough score to be an accountant. Studied accountancy, but soon figured out later down the track that probably wasn't for me. But certainly very thankful for. The school certainly, pushed us academically, but, very strong also from a sporting point of view. Guys like sort of Dustin Fletcher was obviously a 93 premiership player. I was in year 6 when he was he was 17 and playing in a premiership. So that was obviously a huge buzz.
Incredible football.
Amazing, yeah. It's a good one for the tall, skinny guys. So yeah, I'm very thankful that Dustin was able to pave the way for guys like me.
And he played, was it over 400 games?
He did. Yeah, I think maybe 403, which is incredible. And yeah, started back then as a 17-year-old, and yeah, just pretty much just played the same way for 20 years or whatever, 25 years, whatever he played. But
just
yeah,
did his job week in, week
exactly.
out. No thrills.
That's right.
And he had that massive kick that he just launched.
Yeah.
To get you out of trouble a number of times.
That's right.
That worked.
Yeah, and it was great for the school. He was probably. We also had Scott West as well, who was I think a little bit before Dustin.
The doggies.
Yeah, so we had some really good footballers come out of there, but certainly not me.
Not Darren Lush.
No, not me. As much as I tried, I think I may have been second best and fairest in the third 11 in year 12.
Did you maybe not just get noticed by the scouts?
Look,
do you think you were having an off day maybe that day when Fletch was running around, and It was Lush. They could have picked.
I think you know, I always thought that I was such a good outside player. I was so far outside that I thought I'd get noticed. That was my theory anyway.
Who's that guy walking the dog
But
over
you
there?
sort of got to get the footy as well. So I was really good at running down the wing, very noticeable with, you know, long legs.
You looked the part.
I did.
You looked the part.
I had long sort of blonde hair.
Did you really?
I'm pretty sure I bleached it at some point because
I don't know why you do that. That's just crazy.
Look, we all go through that at some point, mate. Some of us go through it at, you know, when we're 15, some when we're a bit older.
I'm having
over and over again.
I'm having my midlife crisis, Lush.
That's all right.
Well, I've been having it for 30 years.
You're on a journey, mate. That's fine.
Mate, when and how, sorry, you obviously played senior footy for Strathmore.
Yeah.
Can you tell us some of your greatest memories at the footy club? And what sort of player, I think you probably touched on what sort of player were you like. But yeah, I'd love to hear some of your greatest memories as a player playing senior footy, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Played a few years of senior footy at Strathmore, but Essendon District is a very, well, I'm going to say the strongest league in Victoria, but it's certainly a very strong league in Melbourne, and so there's most teams have AFL players running around, so I could sort of foresee that, you know, I was a good reserves player, but I was a fringe senior player, so, you know, it was hard to sort of foresee playing top level footy, and I think I probably, you know, lost a bit of the passion for it playing for Strathmore. But in terms of, you know, my best favourite memories, certainly playing my first senior game. So that was really exciting. I think I must have been 20 or 21, and, you know, playing a senior game for the club that, you know, I'd grown up my whole life watching. Do
you remember that time, that lead up to that game, mate? Do you remember when you got the nod by the coach? Because it's always a big moment in a player's life when they get to play for the seniors.
Oh, I can't really remember the specifics, but I remember where we played. We played at Keeler Park, which was sort of one of those fields that it was, no matter what the weather was, it was always raining there. It was always windy. It was on sort of very open sort of field. So playing against them, and they were always very, very tough to play. So I remember going into that being quite nervous, and I think I knew a few guys on the other team, and they knew it was my first game, so they were obviously being very supportive to me.
They were polishing their elbows with it.
There was that, and then I think one of them did eventually. I think after many opportunities, they did get me, because I remember getting a fantastic corked thigh. So I didn't play out the entire game, but I certainly got to play a senior game for the club that I had. You know, my dad had played. Obviously, mentioned Craig Hilly. You know, lots of players that I idolised. So it was really nice to eventually have a go at playing for them. So that's probably my main memory. We did go on to win the flag. I think it was one of those few years that I was playing senior football, but obviously didn't get a chance to play. And it was great to see Craig was actually the coach of that team that won. And then I sort of had a bit of a break between. I took a bit of a break from footy.
I think you just lost the love.
I think so. Yeah, I think probably. And you know, getting to adulthood, you start to get other priorities around work and so forth. So I sort of moved away and went and then ended up playing for another club, Port Arlington, which is sort of Bellarine Football League, which is around Geelong. My family would spend a lot of time down there, so I played footy down there, so it was really nice. You know, it's almost a holiday every weekend playing down there. They were sort of struggling. So played a couple of years there, and then ended up meeting a few guys that had come from a club called North Footscray. The North Footscray Devils, which is in the Western Region Footy League. So in 2010, a few of us sort of left Port Arlington and went and played for North Footscray, and that was a great year. We ended up winning the flag that year.
Fantastic.
So that was great. I think in terms of personal performance, I do still think about that day as I played very poorly.
Yeah.
But
you did get to take your dressing gown off. You did run on the ground.
I did. I think the coach did let me on for the last few minutes, which was really nice of him, just to say, "Hey, look, you were involved." But I just always go, well, I think I played okay in the prelim final, so that's how I justified it in my own mind. So I got a game.
It would have been hard though, I suppose, playing in that grand final, first one you've ever played in.
Yeah.
And back in our day, I know this because it happened a lot to me. You'd sit on the bench for 2-3 quarters sometimes, and you're waiting for a player to get injured. There was none of this rotational players running off after they kicked a goal.
Yeah, it was.
It was different
times. Yeah, different times, and certainly I did get a bit of time on the ground. I think I did get a couple of kicks, so that certainly did make me feel a lot better. But that. I mean, obviously being part of a premiership team.
Do you remember the night? Was it a big night?
It would have been a solid night, and then I think a solid.
You don't
few
remember
days.
it, do you, Lush?
No, and that's. I mean, you're not meant to remember it, are you?
No.
It was, but obviously great memories, you know. So.
No, fantastic, mate.
Thanks.
I'll go over to my other side. Oh yes, I've done all that. When and how did you find your way to the Mighty Growers?
Yeah, so I guess moving from Melbourne, work and family took me around Australia, which was great. So Tasmania, my beautiful wife is from Tasmania, so we met in Melbourne, but we had a connection to Tasmania, so moved over there, which was lovely, and then the work there took me to Gladstone, and then so up there, and then I think when we were living up there, my eldest daughter got diagnosed with juvenile arthritis.
Okay.
So then that actually led us to coming to Brisbane a bit for treatment. So, but that, you always look for silver linings. And
it would have been tough.
Yeah.
I've got kids.
Yeah. No, it was. It certainly was. And she's doing really well. She's 13 now, Maddie. And I should mention Zoe, 10, and my wife, Jess. But
hi Maddie, hi Zoe, hi Jess.
Hey girls. So that sort of took us, we sort of started coming to Brisbane a bit for treatment and so forth. And then I think at some point we sort of saw that we weren't going to stay in Gladstone for forever. And then I think once Maddie's diagnosis came through, that probably hastened that whole experience. So, and we knew that there was, world-class treatment here in Brisbane, which we're very fortunate for.
If you don't mind me asking, Lush,
Please,
is that something that she's always going to have?
So potentially, yes. It's something that it can sort of evolve. Most people might know it as rheumatoid arthritis in adults. So it's sort of like that, but it's there's some slight differences, but that's probably the easiest way to think of it. So rheumatoid arthritis, where your immune system essentially attacks your joints. So, but fortunately, she's a thriving teenager and she's doing great. Treatments, managing that really well. But it did bring us to Brisbane, and then spending more time in Brisbane, we're getting to know Brisbane, and then we're like, well, this might be the place for us, because we did sort of think about, well, where are we going to live after Gladstone? And then sort of Brisbane came up, and then I got a job, a fly out job, so we thought we'll live near the airport.
Yep.
So then we sort of look around the airport and go, well, we were living in Lutwyche, so that was where we landed. So our first house in Brisbane was Lutwyche, and then even before I moved here, where's the closest AFL club?
Yeah. Nice.
So you start looking around, and there's obviously a few clubs around here, but I think once we got involved with the school, the girls went to St Columba's Primary over in WILSTON, and there was a lot of families associated here. So we thought, well, I sort of came down, I'd watch a few senior games, and then found out there was a Masters team. So obviously being
I've
of age,
still got it.
exactly.
I can put the boots back on.
Well, that's right. We all think we still can. So sort of saw that there was a Masters team, and then I think I just rolled down to training, and then have never looked back since. Really, obviously love my time here, but yeah, heard great things. You can just search on the internet. You go, well, the Gorillas are nearby. They're a great club. Well, I'll come down and check it out, and yeah, it's been fantastic.
And how important has it been being involved in the Masters and playing for you on a personal level as well? Because I know for myself it was great. It's not obviously just about playing footy in the Masters.
Yep.
As you know, the training's a little bit different from what it would have been in your senior days.
Indeed.
How's that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've all still got that competitive urge. It's certainly wavered over time, but I still like to win. But yeah, I just love running around, kicking a footy with like-minded individuals. It's great fun, and yeah, I think it's really important. It's a good release from the stresses that we all have. So it's a great bunch of guys. Credit to everyone that's been able to build the Masters program. It's quite incredible. Well, it's not really. Once you know the individuals that have been involved, it's of course they were going to create something so great.
They've always kept a good core group.
That's
of
right.
players.
Yeah. And we've got such great numbers, and we've got such a great atmosphere, and you could feel that going down there just for one training, but then to hear how other clubs talk about us is really, really nice to hear, and certainly nothing to do with me. That takes years for another club to comment on your culture. That's years and years of consistency, and clearly we've been able to achieve that on and off the field, which is great. So yeah, I'm a Masters player for life now. I just can't see.
Well, there's no retirement, is there?
No, that's right. It's the best thing, and playing every second week.
Once I found out about that, 60.
Well, that's right, and
it?
I've played a few practice matches on Butts, and he's still got it, which is great. So
I would have played on him anyway, but I would have hated to play on a guy like him because he would not give you an inch.
No, he didn't.
And he still doesn't.
No, he doesn't. And I said, look, Butts, we're on the same team, mate. He's like, not tonight, mate. Not tonight. So, and fair play to him. Yeah. So
he'd be competitive at Scrabble, I reckon. I don't think there'd be a thing.
Great fella. Great fan.
Legend. Now, mate, when did you decide? You know what? I'm a bit of a mover and a shaker.
You are.
I want to be the president. Had you been watching the US election closely, following Mr. Trump and the Republican Party? Is that what maybe got you into it, or?
Oh, look, there's always controversy how you answer around that. So, yeah, look, I can't say that drove me, but certainly watching the American presidency race, it's. You certainly go, well, maybe there's a few things that I wouldn't do if I was a president of a country or an organisation. But yeah, he's a polarising character.
Yep. No, he certainly is. How's it been going so far in the hot seat? And is it what you expected it to be like?
Yeah, it is what I expected.
Because you have a bit of history there with your grandfather.
Yeah, with certainly family members, and going and seeing the commitments, certainly aware of the commitment, seeing how much, mum's been president of Rotary clubs and dad president of football clubs, certainly aware of the commitment and the sacrifice required. But these things are bigger than just one person. So the sacrifice is worthwhile. I mean it's an absolute honour to be the senior president of such a great club, and you know you've got the history book just sitting there, and you know it's a big book, which means there's a lot of history there and a lot of people that have got us to where we are. So I'm hoping that I can just you know be someone that contributes in a positive way while I'm here. In terms of being the president, I think it's something that I won't lie, I definitely thought about and always thought I'd like to be that person, because in my mind it's quite simple. I just think, well, if you're the president, you've got the opportunity to have the largest contribution. So if you're seen as but that's not to say that, you know, being a coach or a volunteer behind the bar, that's any less. I think that, you know, just being the senior president of a football club, people just know that that's, you know, a position that carries a bit of weight. So I'd like to think that I can certainly do it justice, because, you know, the people that have come before me, and I've had the pleasure of meeting them and talking to them about being the president, and I just hope that I can be half as good as all of them, because there's some pretty amazing people.
Oh, absolutely, mate. We've had a lot of great people at this football club, and as you said, not just necessarily the president, but people behind the bar and the volunteers. I believe it was a bit of an emotional moment when you told your mum.
Look, I think, I think certainly it was really nice to, you know, tell my wife and my kids and my parents that, you know, I've been chosen to be the senior president of the Gorillas Footy Club, and I think, you know, everyone was thrilled for me, and I was probably, I don't know whether it was emotional for me, but you know, it was just like such an honour to be considered worthy of such an important role, because like I said, like you stand in the club rooms and look at the names of people, like that's so much history and so much contribution. It's quite humbling, really, to be in this role.
Absolutely, the chosen one. I like it. Maybe they could get around at Masters. There might be a bit of banter with that.
Thank you, mate.
Mate, one thing I have noticed about you, Lush, from my observation, and only knowing you for a short amount of time, you're one of those guys that is people just gravitate towards. You seem to give people an incredible amount of time, and you make people feel very important, whether you're talking to just a mum or a dad, someone behind a bar, someone helping out. That's what I've noticed about you a lot, is that when you're talking to that individual about anything that it might be, you give them all of your time. It's not like you want to get onto something else or do something else. You feel like this person's listening to me, he's the president, but he's giving me as much time as he would give anyone else. That's something that I've really noticed about the way you go about things, is that connection with whoever it may be at the football club, not just necessarily a senior coach or the vice president. You do that with someone walking their dog, mate.
That's extremely kind, Robbo. Thank you.
Kind person.
You are. Look, I think it's just. I can't say that I was necessarily always that person. It's certainly been.
It's not fake, is it?
No, it's certainly not. I think it's, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, I'm always learning and evolving, and I think that's the reason why I will talk to everyone, because you can learn from everyone. Whether it doesn't really matter who it is. Everyone, you can really learn some amazing things. Like, you know, even doing stuff like this, you learn so much about people at the club that you didn't know. You know, I've watched a lot of your show. I'm a huge fan, and watch a lot of the interviews that you've done, and I've learned so much about people. And I'll go and ask questions about, you know, dig more about some of the things that I've heard. Because it's really interesting, but ultimately everyone's got a story. Everyone, you can learn from absolutely anyone, even, you know, kids. You know, learning from 8-year-olds and that, like the innocence of a child, up to, you know, learning from someone. You sort of mentioned Butts and that, like learning from guys who've been around a long time. You just never know what you're going to hear by, you know, being open-minded to things. So. it's certainly something that I've tried to do. So yeah, hoping that that's something that I can sort of bring here, and yeah, I'd like to think that I do that. So thank you for noticing that.
No, my absolute pleasure. Now I'll get some of the serious questions, mate.
Please.
Obviously, it's only early days for yourself, but what's your vision for the footy club, and what are some of the changes you want to see implemented at the club, especially in the short term, mate?
I think, you know, we've got this amazing club with amazing history, and we're obviously a community club, so it's a really sort of proud point of difference that we have with some of the competition, but it also means some challenges that we face that maybe others don't, in terms of, you know, finances and so forth. So I guess if I was to sort of sum it up, I think it's about, we want a club or a space where people want to come and enjoy their time here, whether that's, you know, on the field or off the field, and also somewhere that people want to volunteer. So if people want to volunteer, then we're creating a culture where people are coming forward and giving their time. So to me, that's a pretty good indicator that we're probably on the right track if people are coming to us going, hey, how can I help? So certainly we have lots of people doing that, amazing people, obviously, you know, like yourself and our people that volunteer behind the bar, you know, run the water, you know, strappers, junior coaches, everyone, like, and you know, you could name 1,000 people, but you know, that's something that we do rely on, getting that you know, that base of people that are able to give their time, and we certainly ask a lot, but we've got a huge community, so if people can give a bit of their time and energy, then that's all we can ask. We understand people have different amounts of time and energy they can give, but every little bit is welcomed. So that's sort of how I sort of see it. That if we're getting that part right, then I think everything else really takes care of itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of how I look at it, and how I would sort of articulate how I would like the club. But again, I've only sort of been in this role for a short time, so I'm very much into just listening and understanding. So, you know, I'll do a lot of, I probably ask too many questions at times of everyone, because I just want to learn context. I want to learn where we've come from, so I can help us hopefully direct where we're going.
Yeah, so at the moment you're sort of observing, watching,
Correct.
gathering as much information as you can, knowledge from experienced people that have been here before.
Exactly.
And then you're going to work out
Yeah.
where best that you're going to take us forward. I suppose the good thing about the footy club in terms of volunteering is, excuse me, you don't have to necessarily sign up for working 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. You know, what you're basically saying is you can put in an hour here, an hour there. There's no permanent commitment. It's just time that you can give when you can give it.
That's exactly right. We understand that everyone's got various amounts of time and energy based on everyone has a life outside of the footy club. We certainly understand that, and that goes for, you know, myself, the senior committee, the junior president, junior committee. We all understand that, you know, people can give various amounts of time and energy, but if everyone can chip in just a little bit, and if you don't, that's okay. Like, that's okay, but we would love if people can give a little bit of time and energy, and then that'll just keep us moving forward. Because that's how our club is really going to not only survive but thrive. Because that's our point of difference to you know, clubs like Aspley and Redlands and Morningside. That's what we offer, and I think, you know, that's a great thing.
I suppose a good thing is too, Lush, that you say that, but you also do it from the top down. And I've only noticed this from your short amount of time. I noticed on Friday night when I was coaching the under 17 boys out here that you had the bar open, which was unusual because we don't usually have the bar open on those night games down here. But you were in there doing that probably from 6 through to when we finished to pack up and go about 9:30. You didn't have to do that, but you're doing it because you thought it's important for the people that are down here watching their kids play, having that, coming into the bar, having a drink, and having that relaxed environment. I know that's a bit of a vision for you to have the deck out there, entertaining both home people and obviously clubs that come to the club. Have that experience.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think that how could I, as senior president, ask others to give up their Friday nights or Sundays or whatever if I'm not willing to? And certainly, obviously, there's things outside of that that I can do. I'm very fortunate, I can, take a phone call or do something during the day. But then, outside of your typical 9 to 5, that's really when it's harder to get volunteers naturally. That's when people want to spend time with their family and friends, which they absolutely can. But I think in my head I go, well, how can I ask someone else to do that if I'm not willing to do that? So I'm certainly happy to do that. I don't know if I necessarily can every week. The wife and kids may not necessarily appreciate that, but I'm certainly willing to give my time, and I hope that others can. I think it's just such a great atmosphere. Even you mentioned Friday night. There's great people around. Everyone's there's great energy. Everyone says please and thank you. Like, it's really, really easy when there's lots of great people around, and there were others there helping me as well, who are giving up their time. So, it makes it easier. It takes an army to do this, and certainly, if I can be one of those contributors, I'm more than happy to.
No, fantastic, mate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How important is it for the football club? Now, I've been involved in a number of football clubs, and so have you. How important is it for the football club to have the seniors and the juniors working together both on and off the field? Because there's always been something at a lot of football clubs. I think we do it pretty well here, but there's certainly room to improve.
Yeah, I think there's. With anything, there's always room to improve, and I think I've come into the club not coming up through the juniors. I'm reasonably new to, as I said, only been here a few years. I'm reasonably new to the Gorillas, so offering a different perspective. But yeah, credit to the people that have come before me. There's there's a junior club and a senior club, and I can understand why. We've got so many members and people. I can understand why there is a sort of delineation between junior and senior, but you're right. Like
the agendas, I suppose, are different, aren't they?
Yeah. You've got your families, and seeing the kids running around. It's always going to be different. But to your point, like we can really come together and create a pathway where people just stay here for their life. We've got Oz kickers all the way to masters. So we've got 3 or 4 year olds up to in our 60s. There's no reason why people can't stay, and that's really up to the junior committee, the senior committee, and everyone involved to make sure that people see that and go, once I'm here, I won't leave.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's when there are two committees, we've got to collaborate, and we certainly do. There's lots of great conversations that we have and coming together, and we're working the bar on Friday night, and then there's junior families that are there on a Saturday. Like yourself, you're in junior and senior and masters. You're sort of everywhere. Like there's lots of people that are across all of the different facets of the club, and I think it's only a matter of time before everything just comes together. But we'll always be improving. I think it's always going to be a work in progress, and and to be honest, like I think it's doing pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's lovely to see when I'm down doing Auskick stuff on a Saturday, and you'll see grandparents of the kids.
Yeah.
And they're the Masters players.
Yeah.
I know they probably wouldn't be too happy about me mentioning
No,
that.
there's a few.
But there's some grandkids down there and they're
Right.
watching, and you see senior players with maybe their little brother and sister down there playing, and it is that one club mentality when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
Now, rumour has it, this is just a stepping stone for you in your quest to become the leader of the Trumpet of Patriots Party. Is that true? Are we quashing that rumour now? Or?
I can neither confirm nor deny, Robert.
Mate, finally, outside of work, playing Masters and being the president of this great football club, what do you do to relax, buddy?
There's not really much time left between work and the footy club, but yeah,
You got your family.
Yeah, you certainly do. I certainly do. Yes, as I mentioned, Jess, Maddie, and Zoe. So yeah, obviously love spending time with them.
Do you travel? Do you go?
Oh, probably not too much. With kids sport and now the footy club involvement, there's not as much time left. We
Probably
certainly,
lucky you're so close to the football club.
well, that's right. It's pretty much my front yard, which can be a blessing, and sometimes it means I spend a little bit more time over here. But it does cut down the travel time, which is excellent. But outside, I like to, like most people, hang out with mates, go down to the Gibson, which is they're a great sponsor of ours.
Yes, well done.
Yeah, I've got one. I need to get a few more in.
Yep.
So yeah, love to go.
Great venue, the Gibson.
Great.
I recommend it, families.
Great venue. We'll cut that up and send that to them. But yeah, look, I try to keep fit. So go to the gym, run. Try to play sport with my kids. Walk the dog, watch AFL. I do love American sports, so that's probably something that I do. I'd probably watch more of that than AFL. Love the NFL and the NBA.
Who do you follow in the NFL?
I'm one of those guys that just gets on the fastest horse. So currently the Kansas City Chiefs. So,
okay.
And obviously Tom Brady and the New England Patriots when he was slinging the ball around. So I'll just decide whoever's going to win this year, and then I'll back them. But yeah, that's just not really much outside of that. I think the footy club is probably it is a release.
Well, it is a bit of a relaxing.
It is, yeah. I mean, where even though it's a big club and there's responsibilities that come with being the senior president and sitting on the committee. It's still fun. Everyone's pushing in the same direction. It's not like an organisation where they're trying to put the stock price has got to go up or something. We're all just trying to enjoy ourselves and do the best for the community. So it is a release probably coming down here, and yeah, it's great.
Well, mate, thank you very much. I really do appreciate you obviously putting up your hand to be the president. It's not like you're putting up your hand to be the ground marshal and you're putting on the orange bib, although then we have a lot of great ground marshals, not knocking ground marshals, but it is a very encompassing position.
Yep.
I wish you all the best. I have no doubt you'll do an incredible job,
Thank
just only knowing you for short term, mate. And we do have some chocolates, buddy. Can you take them home to Jess and Zoe?
And Maddie.
Yes.
I will. Thank you.
Appreciate your time,
That's
mate. Thanks a
great.
lot.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.